Every family has one disappointment, my father said into the microphone, smiling as if it were a toast. The room responded exactly as rooms do when power speaks first. Soft laughter, polite, uncertain, safe. Crystal glasses caught the chandelier light. Linen napkins rested in precise folds. The air conditioning hummed steadily above the low murmur of approval. My mother stepped closer to him, her hand lightly touching his arm. We always believed he would eventually build something meaningful, she added, her tone gentle enough to disguise the edge. But ambition and results are not always the same. A sharper ripple of laughter moved through our relatives. One of my father's business partners nodded, amused. I remained seated for a moment, watching the room accept the framing. This was their 30th anniversary celebration. 30 years of discipline, reputation, visible authority. Investors filled the front tables. Extended family lined the perimeter. The evening was structured carefully. He lifted the microphone again. Perhaps tonight he'll finally tell us what he's been working on. The implication settled neatly. Whatever I had done so far had not counted. He extended the microphone toward me, not as gratitude for coordinating the venue, managing the guest logistics, or structuring the funding, but as invitation to justify my existence. A chair leg scraped softly against the marble floor as I stood. I did not correct him. I did not defend myself. I simply took the microphone and looked at the room. They didn't realize something had already changed. If you grow up in a structured family, you learn early which role belongs to you. Some children inherit confidence. Some inherit expectation. Others inherit doubt. I was the reasonable one. The quiet one. The one who would figure something out. Which usually meant absorbing tension so others didn't have to. Being underestimated isn't loud. It rarely comes as open rejection. It arrives disguised as advice. As comparison. As patience that feels conditional. Have you ever sat in a room where people spoke about your future as if you weren't capable of defining it yourself? If that kind of quiet dismissal feels familiar, you're not alone here. If you value composure over noise and strategy over reaction, you can subscribe. Most of these stories aren't about shouting back. And if you've ever been underestimated by your own family, you can share your experience in the comments. I read them carefully. There's something instructive about patterns once you stop resisting them. Today wasn't like the others. My father built the visible empire. Commercial real estate. Strategic investments. A reputation for discipline. He spoke, others listened. My mother managed perception, events, relationships, curated generosity. Public authority belonged to them. Financial authority, technically, did too. On paper, I was assigned operational support. After university, while my older cousins joined recognizable firms, I handled back-end logistics for our family office. Vendor contracts, compliance filings, venue negotiations, trust documentation, temporary experience, my father called it. Memory fragment 1. I was 23, sitting at the dining table while my father explained that visibility mattered more than structure. No one applauds paperwork, he said. Memory fragment 2. At a holiday dinner, an uncle asked what I did. My mother answered before I could. He helps his father. Helps. I learned to observe instead of correct. Authority in our family flowed from whoever held the microphone. But execution flowed somewhere quieter. They assumed compliance was permanent. The anniversary event looked extravagant because it was structured precisely. I negotiated the venue contract 6 months earlier. I redirected part of an underperforming allocation into short-term liquidity to cover the event without affecting quarterly optics. I coordinated catering through a subsidiary vendor we partially owned. Minor tasks, from the outside. Clerical. But access accumulates. Managing trust distributions required dual authentication. Reviewing investment summaries required board-level clearance. Updating beneficiary structures required trustee confirmation. 3 years ago, when tax regulations shifted, my father appointed me co-trustee of the primary family trust, temporarily, he said, so filings could move faster. Temporary roles often last longer than public memory. Trust governance is procedural. It doesn't care who speaks at dinner. It responds to signatures, clauses, thresholds. Access teaches you what authority often ignores. 2 weeks before the anniversary, we had a routine compliance meeting. The agenda was ordinary: portfolio diversification, distribution adjustments, liquidity buffers. My father skimmed. My mother checked her phone. The external advisor focused on regulatory updates. There was one line item regarding trustee voting thresholds in the event of strategic restructuring. Our advisor recommended modernization, shifting from unilateral primary authority to majority trustee confirmation to align with updated fiduciary standards. My father waved a hand. If it's procedural, approve it. The amendment required both trustees' signatures. He signed. So did I. What the amendment formalized was simple: all major disbursements, asset liquidations, and structural trust changes now required majority trustee approval. There were 2 trustees. In a 2-person structure, majority is not abstract. Additionally, a dormant clause activated upon modernization, granting operational control of subsidiary entities to the acting compliance trustee during fiscal transition periods. I had been handling compliance for 3 years. The paperwork processed within 48 hours. Confirmations were emailed. Records updated. No announcement was made because none was required. By the time we gathered that evening, the structure had already changed. My father adjusted his jacket after the laughter settled. 30 years, he said. Legacy requires steady hands. Discipline. Experience. It's not built on risk or vague ambition. He looked at me again. Some people prefer ideas over execution. A business partner nodded. My mother added gently, but we're patient. Responsibility matures eventually. The room softened into polite amusement. Then my father gestured with the microphone. Would you like to add something? He expected hesitation. Maybe a defensive joke. I stood slowly and accepted the microphone. I'll keep this brief, I said. My voice carried evenly. The sound system hummed softly above us. I'm glad we updated the trust structure this month. It ensures compliance with current fiduciary standards. A few guests exchanged looks. Technical language has a way of shifting attention. As co-trustee, I confirmed the amendment activating majority governance. That means all major distributions and asset reallocations now require dual approval. I paused. The anniversary event was funded through short-term liquidity repositioning I authorized last quarter. It was important the celebration remained within revised parameters. My father's expression did not change immediately. I've also initiated fiscal transition protocol for our subsidiary entities. Operational oversight will remain under compliance control until year-end review. Silence expanded, not dramatic, just attentive. I appreciate the opportunity to contribute. I returned the microphone. A dessert fork rested untouched on the edge of a plate near the center table. Confusion doesn't announce itself. It moves through small gestures. One investor leaned toward another, whispering. Someone checked their phone, likely searching recent filings. My mother's smile remained, but it tightened at the corners. My father nodded once, slowly, as though acknowledging a technical clarification rather than a shift in authority. Procedural updates are important, he said carefully. But the room had already recalculated. Words like co-trustee and majority governance are not emotional. They are structural. A cousin who previously avoided discussing business now looked directly at me. Status adjusts when information becomes visible. No one laughed again. After dessert, my father asked if we could step outside. The hallway was quieter, carpet muting our steps. You could have discussed that privately, he said evenly. It was already documented, I replied. His tone shifted, less performative, more measured. Operational control is symbolic during transition periods. You understand that. It's procedural, I said. And binding. He studied me as if reassessing a variable he had long considered stable. You're not trying to make a point. I'm maintaining compliance. There was no anger between us. Only recalibration. Dependency reveals itself when authority must negotiate. That night, after returning home, I sent 3 emails. One to our external advisor confirming transition oversight. One to subsidiary managers outlining updated approval workflows. One to our banking liaison reiterating dual signature enforcement. By morning, acknowledgement receipts populated my inbox. Vendor payment routing adjusted automatically under the revised structure. Board meeting invitations were reissued reflecting trustee parity. No confrontation was required. Systems respond to documentation. Back at the venue, I collected my coat. My mother was speaking to guests, posture flawless. My father stood near the window, expression composed. I placed my napkin neatly beside my plate. No announcement. No farewell speech. I walked past the microphone stand without touching it. The city lights reflected against the glass doors as I stepped outside. I didn't need the microphone. Authority and respect are often confused. Authority can be inherited, displayed, amplified through rooms filled with attentive faces. Respect is quieter. It accumulates through structure, consistency, documentation. For years, I was visible only as support. But support, when given access, becomes infrastructure. Underestimation offers proximity. Proximity offers information. Information, when formalized, becomes leverage. I did not interrupt their celebration. I did not dismantle their legacy. I updated its governance. There is no satisfaction in reversal. Only clarity. Public humiliation depends on imbalance, on one person believing the other has no recourse. That assumption expired the moment signatures were recorded. Some people equate volume with control. But control does not raise its voice. It signs. It documents. It confirms receipt. And when necessary, it speaks once, factually, so the room can adjust. By morning, nothing looked different from the outside. The trust remained intact. The investments remained diversified. The anniversary photos circulated online. But the authority chain had been rewritten. Quietly. Control doesn't announce itself. It simply updates the record.